A Baltimore man has been arrested in connection with alleged plot to bomb a military recruiting center in Maryland. The 21-year-old American Muslim convert Antonio Martinez, also known as Mohammed Hussein, was being tracked by undercover FBI agents who provided him with a fake bomb in the lead up to his arrest. And the case is kind of similar to that of the Portland tree bomber, who is now accusing the FBI of entrapment. So is the government guilty of enticing folks to commit mass murder? A debate on this now between Andrew McCarthy, he is a former federal prosecutor, and Mark Sawyer, he's a political science professor at UCLA. Gentlemen, great to see you both. Mark, first to you, do you buy the entrapment defense of these folks?
I mean, I'd have to look into it. I mean, there have been issues. I mean, if the government is sitting there encouraging people and telling them, you know, and even radicalizing them, then that would be a problem. But it's hard to tell. I mean, look, we have an adversarial legal system, and people have to come up with a defense. When you're caught red-handed with the bomb and you're going to explode it, you have to say something.
Sure, but the point is, Andy, that people have come up with this defense, and the guy in Portland, Mohammed Osman Mohammed, has said that it was entrapment. But can a person be entrapped to commit mass murder?
No, it's totally unreasonable, and that's why the defense, which has been raised any number of times in the last 17 years in terrorism cases, is batting exactly 0, 0, 0.
Right.
It's just common sense tells you that no normal person can be enticed into committing mass murder.
Well, let me just point out, though, and you know this very well,
right,
the fact that it hasn't succeeded doesn't necessarily mean it won't eventually succeed. Maybe some entrapment for this will succeed.
No, it won't succeed because it's not a legal issue, it's a common sense issue. When a prosecutor looks at it...
What makes you say that common sense is so common in our court system?
Well, because unlike just having federal judges, we actually have jurors who are normal people. And when you look a jury in the eye and say, what would it take to entice you to kill 10, 20,000 people? They sort of scratch their heads and say, yeah, that's right, that's crazy.
All right, now, Mark, what the FBI does, they put together this kind of rule book to avoid the entrapment defense. And what they do when they deal with these potential perpetrators is they give them an option. They say, look, on the one hand, I can help you make posters that you can hang up outside the UN. On the other hand, I can help you make bombs if you want to bomb the UN. Which would you like to do? Is that enough? Is the FBI doing enough to avoid entrapment?
I mean, if that's what they're doing, that's fine. But let's go back in history. I mean, this comes out of the FBI's counterintelligence program, where they were actively infiltrating and developing conflicts between different kinds of organizations that sometimes led to people being shot and killed. And they were sending threatening letters and things like that that were encouraging people to get into certain kinds of conflicts, which ended up being violent. So
you're saying that was entrapment and that was illegal?
Yeah, that was illegal, and there were congressional hearings about that.
Hold on a second, Andy. Was it illegal or not?
It didn't have anything to do with entrapment. What it had to do with was whether what the FBI was doing was done without the normal court process. Those aren't entrapment cases.
So it wasn't exactly entrapment, and they were found to be wrong because of the fact that they did some other things that were wrong, Mark?
Well, they were creating the crime. They were creating crimes that otherwise wouldn't have happened by infiltrating organizations. And while it's not technically entrapment, it's fruit of the same tree, which is, are you getting people to do things that they otherwise wouldn't do? And I guess if they're giving them an option and being very clear, then that's a clear line. But you could think of some things that might be fuzzy in terms of if they're actually sort of, if you actually had like the FBI setting up a radical mosque and recruiting people to come there and then encouraging them to go out and bomb things, and then when they do make an attempt, deciding to arrest them, that would clearly be on the other side of the line.
You agree, Andy?
No. What happened in the COINTELPRO investigation involved, for example...
Which one is that?
That's the one from the 60s and 70s that I take him to be talking about. Bill Ayers, for example, was not prosecuted because of that. In his own words, he's guilty as sin. So this is not a situation where the FBI created the crime. It's a situation where the crime couldn't be prosecuted because the way they collected the evidence violated the law.
So, Mark, are these guys just wasting our time with an entrapment defense?
Well, I mean, wasting whose time?
Wasting the taxpayers' time, wasting prosecutors' time, wasting time that we could be spent going after other terrorists.
we have an adversarial legal system. I mean, you know, individuals have a right to a defense.
No.
It's important for people to do it. If it doesn't meet common sense, then the jury will judge it so, and that's the case. I mean, we don't want to put people in the court and just say, well, you know, you're just obviously guilty. You can't raise any kind of defense.
Okay, hold on, Mark. Go ahead, Andy.
Individuals are entitled to whatever defense they actually have. They're not entitled for us to give them a defense so that they can turn what ought to be a slaughter into a horse race. These cases are a waste of time if people bring entrapment defenses when they can't conceivably legally fit the test of entrapment.
Andrew McCarthy, Mark Sawyer, good to see you both, gentlemen. Thanks very much. Coming up on deck, a voice for